we've seen, I suppose, in the last 10 years, a seismic shift in the delivery of technology and services. So effectively, the data center has become the heart or the hub of how those services are being delivered. So what used to be traditional IT outsourcing and using data centers just for, rather than build our own, we'll use it. You're now accessing services within the data center, externally and internally. So clients are coming into the data center to access cloud service providers, telecoms providers, ISPs, financial services, systems integrators, internet content. So they're specifically coming in to actually get access to those types of businesses. Good example, if you take the 3 data centers that TelecityGroup have in Dublin, and we've got over 4,500 interconnects. And by that we mean clients interconnecting within the data center, not externally. So if you take a data center, take our Kilcarby site that we're in here at the moment, when that started off, we would have had 100 or 200 interconnects just for the telecoms providers that would have come in, interconnecting with each other to buy capacity and bandwidth off each other because they don't have their own fibre. But as the sites have grown, what happens is they start to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. The businesses that come into them want to get access to the carriers, they want to get access to the systems integrators. The interconnects start to develop and grow, and then it eventually starts just evolving itself. So at a micro level, it's its own sort of digital ecosystem. And we've seen that across nearly all our sites in Europe. So when a site gets to 5 to 6 years old, with a critical mass of maybe 50 or 60% of the site full, once you have the right mix of clients, it starts then to basically feed itself. So it basically grows organically without necessarily having us to go out and sell, a huge amount of additional space. It'll just continue to grow itself. We all know the reason why a lot of the data centers are here. I mean, we've got this, as alluded to earlier on, this great ambient temperature for cooling, so it's a good place climatically to put data centers. We've got a very strong corporate tax rate. We've got our tax credits for R&D. We've got our young workforce. We've got an ease of doing business. We've also got a very good track record. There's 10 or 15 years of FDI in Ireland now, and it's I think there's $190 billion already invested in Ireland. So I mean, they're very comfortable doing business with us, and I think the other countries see that. So we're open for doing business with the most open economy in the world. I think to sustain it, so we are successful. So if you look at it from the European context, we're in the top 4 or 5, certainly cities in Europe to host your environment. So from that point of view, we're playing in the big league. To sustain it, a couple of things I think we need to be careful of. On the design and build side, there's some great capability here. We need to be careful that we don't price ourselves a little bit. We're a little bit expensive at the moment. And given what's happened in the construction industry in Ireland, you would think that wouldn't be the case. But if you look at the tables across Europe and the bills, the European bills that I see, Ireland is nearly up at the top on our cost per kilowatt for building that site. So we just need to be careful that we don't price ourselves out of that arena and they start to bring in external providers to do that work, which has happened before. And the second one is a bugbear of mine is power. We just need to be very, very careful that our power costs are not seen to be inhibitive to attracting business into Ireland, because you look at the very big providers, it's probably one of their biggest costs. That Google and Amazon would pay for their own power, but I mean, it's a huge component of their cost base. And then retail sites like ours, you're charging that power back to each of the clients. And if we look at a European opportunity that might come into the group, and the location is not that important, it could be Amsterdam or Paris or London, Dublin. They start drilling down into the cost basis, and we're not the dearest, but we're certainly not the cheapest. So we just need to be careful that we try and keep a lid on how our those costs grow. I think the energy regulator has put on another 4% administration charge last year, which is crazy. It's just got to deliver back to the clients. You try to absorb it so that the cost base doesn't rise too high. If you look at that sort of split there, they're saying 76% is enterprises, and so the balance probably more or less domestic users of surfing, email, accessing content, that sort of stuff. I mean, if you look at the type of activity we see, it's probably not dissimilar. I mean, most of the stuff we get is corporate enterprise business activity. The challenge on the cloud, I suppose, I mean, it's twofold. cloud providers are our clients in lots of respects. So each of the sites will all have cloud providers in them that have hosting providers, and in some cases they're potentially a competitor. When you look to somebody moving from a dedicated hosting environment that they would have here into an Amazon Web Services or whatever. So there's a balance there between is it being part of your growth, and very significant part of your growth, and also potentially a competitor when it comes to sort of people moving into a different environment.